How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this is a story on the death of a prisoner in 2015 by the name of John Ahmed. God bless John Ahmed, may he rest in peace. This story, guys, is unbelievable. Corruption, perjury, right? It's just, if you have a loved one that dies in prison, no matter what the prison say to you, what the prison say and what the truth is two very, very different versions of events. Never take what if there's, like I say, it could be natural causes, it could be during a restraint, it could be, like I say, a suicide. The prison have tried to protect the reputation of the prison, right? And they hate stories getting out. Right, so what they do, it's all propaganda, guys. Right, if the prison find a prison officer or a prisoner's loved one coming into prison with £10,000 worth of drugs, they'll intercept it, they'll run to the media, they'll do press releases, they'll do interviews, they'll speak out. When there's a death in custody and the circumstances stink to high heaven, they keep a lid on it. They don't like the stories getting out. Paperwork goes missing, statements get altered, statements go missing, evidence goes missing, and it stinks to high heaven, guys. And this story will just unbelievable. Please, please, no disrespectful comments about John Ahmed. God bless him. I know you won't. At the end of the day, we support prisoners. That's what we do. So this is a story in the Manchester Evening News, my local paper, guys. Link in the description below. Can't believe this. Police launch perjury investigation after inquest into death of Strangeways inmates. The coroner earlier raised concerns about some of the evidence heard at the inquest into John Ahmed's death at HMP Manchester in July of 2015. Police have launched a perjury and misconduct investigation after an inquest into the death of a Strangeways inmate. John Ahmed, 42, was on remand when he died on July the 29th, 2015, after tussling with guards at the prison. In March 2017, an inquest opened into Mr. Ahmed's death. They heard that use of force did not contribute to his death. The coroner raised concerns about some of the evidence heard at the inquest and referred the matter back to Greater Manchester Police at its conclusion. GMP, or Greater Manchester Police, have now launched an investigation into perjury and misconduct in public office. In a statement, a Force spokesman said, "Following the inquest into the death of John Ahmed, the coroner referred the matter back to Greater Manchester Police, and there is an ongoing investigation into perjury and misconduct in a public office. The Manchester Evening News understands that 2 prison officers are being investigated. At the inquest in 2017, a forensic pathologist said the cause of Mr. Ahmed's death was multifactorial, but said that being restrained was a contributing factor. Dr. Naomi Carter said in her evidence that Mr. Ahmed, a father of 4, died primarily as a result of a cardiac arrhythmia. The physical and emotional effects of being restrained were also a contributing factor to his death, she said. Stress hormones released into Mr. Ahmed's blood, paired with an enlarged left ventricle in the heart, and his obesity also contributed, the court heard. Mr. Ahmed's heart stopped beating in the middle of a struggle with a number of prison officers during a drug search. Prison officers and a prison nurse tried to revive Mr. Ahmed, but he died at the North Manchester General Hospital. During the course of the hearing, a number of witness accounts were said to differ to the original police statements the inquest heard. Summing up the inquest evidence, Senior Coroner Nigel Meadows said, "On more than one occasion, it was suggested witnesses had tailored their evidence to suit an account which was simply not true. Prior to being restrained, Mr. Ahmed had been out on the exercise yard at Strangeways with a fellow inmate. The pair were led away by officers to a search corridor after they were spotted stepping over the do not cross line to retrieve an object that had been thrown into the yard. Mr. Ahmed claimed the package was only tobacco. After complaining to the other prisoner, he wanted a smoke. The inquest heard an officer saw Mr. Ahmed put something down his trousers, which made them suspicious it was heard. During the search, they found the package, which contained tobacco and a tablet tightly wrapped in cellophane, a medication for pain release often misused in prison." Now, that'll be, Pregab. That'll be a pregabalin, which is a strong nerve suppressant for people in pain and stuff. People break it down into a powder and snort it, or they just take it orally. But it gets into the system if you snort it. Officers carried out a drug search on Mr. Ahmed in the isolation wing. Prison staff claimed they started to restrain Mr. Ahmed after he leaned forward, as though to try and assault one of the staff members, it was said. He was pushed to the floor and put in the prone position, lying face down while he was handcuffed. As he entered the cell, a prison officer claimed Mr. Ahmed turned and lifted his arm as to assault him. Chat shit, lying bastards. At this point, officers brought Mr. Ahmed down to the ground once again to the prone position. Officers decided to take him to the segregation unit, with the court hearing that he was uncooperative on the way. When officers took over from the unit took over to perform another search on him, Mr. Ahmed was said to be thrashing his arms around and kicking out. Mr. Ahmed from Rosendale was found to have a cut on his wrist where handcuffs had been and a red mark on his back. After he resisted efforts to be restrained, officers used the mandibular angle technique of restraint when forces applied to the nerves of the jaw to exert pain to gain control. Mr. Ahmed began to gurgle and froth at the mouth, with a silver piece of paper which had been in his mouth being retrieved. Tests found it had no trace of drugs or medicines. Then Mr. Ahmed became pale and unresponsive. A nurse performed CPR and paramedics were called. That's called a cold blue. An inquest in jury heard Mr. Ahmed, a former heroin addict, was being moved to another wing of the prison after he was given a warning about his behaviour. On July the 28th, 2015, Mr. Ahmed, the day before his death, had a history of mental health problems and was taking antidepressants. Phoned his mother to say he was having some privileges removed because of his behavioural issues. So it sounds like he's been put on basic, which is like I say, 23-hour lockup, but Strangeways is about 20-hour lockup anyway. No television and restricted regime. At the end of the inquest in 2017, the jury returned a narrative conclusion. Mr. Ahmed's parents, John and Margaret, are taking civil action against the prison over their son's death. Mr. Ahmed is the second child Margaret and John have lost. Their son, Dean, died in age 12 in 1986 in a horrific crash in Earlham. Another boy died in an accident, but John, 14, survived. Guys, doctoring evidence, guys, to suit the cause. The system wipes the system's arse, right? And officers have colluded and, like I said, lied, and things have gone missing, and statements have been altered so they could sing off the same hymn sheet. And like I say, the police, obviously, it's been referred back to the police. So the police obviously didn't see it. The police dismissed it because it's just a prisoner and he's disposable. But then the coroner's referred it back to the police. And the police have got to act. Will there be any justice served? No. Because there's going to be no evidence, is there? Inside the cell, guys, there's no cameras. So it's not going to be, there's going to be no evidence to support the family's, his mum and dad's legal course of action. The two officers in the case could very easily resign. They might have moved on, they might have resigned, they might have retired. It's been a few years now, it's 3 years. They could still be at the prison very easily. So, but the fact is, if your loved one dies in prison in any which way, whatever the prison tell you the circumstances, what the truth is and what the prison say are two very different versions of events. The prison has a reputation to try and protect. They don't care about prisoners, they don't care about prisoners' families, and it's just disgusting, guys. And I believe every single word that something's up here. This is the thing, man. Prison people like to think that prison officers aid rehabilitation and they're all seeing, all doing. No. No, 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 no. Power mad, want tasers, like twisting prisoners up, antagonising prisoners. And then when prisoners attack, they go mob-handed and fuck them up. That's what they do, guys. It's a reality. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. God bless John Ahmed. May he rest in peace. Absolutely just unbelievable story, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope his mum and dad get justice. God bless John Ahmed. Peace out.